I have been a doctor for a long time. I have sat through hundreds of medical conferences, read thousands of research papers, and spent more hours than I can count studying what actually moves the needle on human health and longevity. And I will be honest with you, very few things in my career have genuinely surprised me. But when I first encountered the body of research I am about to share with you today, I had to read it twice. Then I had to go find the original studies myself, because the findings seemed almost too simple to be real. What the research shows is this: there is one daily habit, not a medication, not a supplement, not a surgical procedure, that has been associated in study after study with living longer, moving better, thinking more clearly, and experiencing dramatically less chronic pain. It has been studied in populations across multiple continents. It has been examined at the cellular level, at the cardiovascular level, at the neurological level, and at the musculoskeletal level. And the results are consistent enough that researchers are now using language they almost never use in medicine, words like transformative and remarkable. And yes, in several published papers, the phrase adds years to life expectancy appears directly. And here's the part that will either surprise you or frustrate you, depending on how you look at it. You already know what this habit is. You have been told about it before, but I promise you, you have never been told the full story of why it works, what it is actually doing inside your body at a level most people never hear about, and most importantly, the specific way of doing it that produces the results the research actually points to, because the version most people practice and the version the science supports are not the same thing. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand something about your own body that most people spend their entire lives never knowing. The habit is walking. And before you click away, I need you to give me the next few minutes, because what I'm about to tell you about what a daily walk actually does to the human body after 60 is going to change the way you think about every single step you take. Let us start with the research that first stopped me in my tracks. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed tens of thousands of adults over multiple years and found that people who walked regularly at a brisk pace had a life expectancy meaningfully longer than those who did not, with the effect being most pronounced in adults over the age of 60, not people who ran marathons, not people who spent hours in a gym, people who walked. Another large-scale analysis examining data from across multiple countries found that each additional 1,000 steps per day was associated with a measurable reduction in all-cause mortality, meaning death from any cause, with the protective effect continuing to increase all the way up to around 7,000 to 8,000 steps per day, at which point it began to level off. You do not need 10,000 steps. The research does not actually support that specific number as a threshold. What it supports is consistent daily walking at a pace that slightly elevates your breathing for a duration that accumulates meaningful distance over time. But the number of steps is almost the least interesting part of this. What I want you to understand is the mechanism. What is actually happening inside your body when you walk every day that produces these effects. Because once you understand the mechanism, you will never think of a walk as just a walk again. Let us start with your joints, because that is at the heart of what we talk about on this channel. I mentioned in a previous video that cartilage has no direct blood supply. It receives its nutrition through a process called diffusion. Nutrients move in and waste products move out through the compression and release of the cartilage tissue itself during movement. Walking is one of the most efficient drivers of this process in the human body. Every step you take compresses the cartilage in your knee joint slightly, then releases it. That compression and release is what pumps nutrients in and removes the metabolic waste products that accumulate and contribute to inflammation. When you stop walking regularly, this pumping mechanism slows dramatically. The cartilage becomes less nourished, more brittle, more vulnerable to the micro damage that compounds into arthritis over time. When you walk consistently, you are literally feeding your joints with every step. Now, let us talk about what walking does to your muscles, because this is something that is deeply underappreciated. The muscles surrounding your joints, your quadriceps around the knee, your gluteal muscles around the hip, your core around the lumbar spine, function as the primary shock absorbers and stabilizers for those joints. When those muscles are strong and well-conditioned, they absorb a significant portion of the load that would otherwise be transmitted directly through the joint surfaces. When those muscles weaken, more of that load goes directly into the cartilage and the bone. Walking, done consistently, maintains and in many cases rebuilds that protective muscle mass in the lower body in a way that is sustainable, low impact, and manageable for the vast majority of people regardless of their current fitness level. There is also a profoundly important cardiovascular dimension that directly affects joint health and overall aging. Walking regularly improves the efficiency of your circulatory system in ways that reach every tissue in your body. Better circulation means better delivery of oxygen and nutrients, not just to muscles and organs, but to every joint capsule, every tendon, every ligament. It means more efficient removal of the inflammatory byproducts that accumulate in tissues and contribute to the chronic low-grade inflammation that underlies so much of what we think of as normal aging. Chronic inflammation is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of biological aging. It accelerates cellular damage, shortens telomeres, impairs immune function, and degrades tissue integrity across virtually every system in the body. Walking, practiced consistently, measurably reduces systemic inflammatory markers. It is one of the most effective anti-inflammatory interventions we have, and it costs nothing. But I want to go even deeper because the neurological effects of daily walking are where the research becomes genuinely extraordinary. Studies using brain imaging have shown that regular walking increases the volume of the hippocampus, the region of the brain most critically involved in memory formation and spatial navigation, and one of the first regions affected by age-related cognitive decline. To be specific about the numbers, research from the University of Pittsburgh found that adults who walked regularly over a one-year period showed a 2% increase in hippocampal volume, while a sedentary control group showed a 1.4% decrease. That is not a small difference. That is a reversal of a trajectory. Walking does not just slow cognitive aging. In measurable ways, it reverses it. Walking also triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is sometimes described as fertilizer for the brain. This protein supports the survival of existing neurons, encourages the growth of new neural connections, and plays a critical role in learning, memory, and mood regulation. Low levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor are associated with depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, and neurodegenerative disease. Walking raises those levels consistently and reliably. It is, in a very literal biochemical sense, making your brain younger with every walk you take. And then there is what walking does to your sleep, which creates a positive cycle that amplifies every benefit I have just described. Regular daily walking has been shown in multiple studies to improve sleep quality, reducing the time it takes to fall asleep, increasing the proportion of time spent in deep, slow-wave sleep, and reducing nighttime waking. And as I discussed in my last video, deep sleep is when the vast majority of tissue repair occurs, when growth hormone is secreted, when the brain clears the metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours. Better sleep means better repair. Better repair means less pain, better function, and slower biological aging. And better sleep tends to make people more inclined to walk the next day, which improves sleep further. It is one of the most constructive cycles in all of medicine, and a daily walk is what starts it. Now, I want to address something that I know is on the mind of many people watching this because I hear it from patients regularly. What if walking hurts? What if my knees are bad enough or my hips painful enough that the idea of a daily walk feels less like medicine and more like punishment? This is a genuinely important question, and it deserves an honest answer. For some people, particularly those with moderate to severe joint disease, high-impact or long-duration walking can, in the short term, aggravate symptoms. I am not going to tell you to walk through severe pain because that is not good advice, and it is not what the research supports. What the research does support, and what I recommend to patients in exactly this situation, is starting where you are, not where you think you should be. 5 minutes is a walk, 10 minutes is a walk, a slow walk is a walk with a cane or a walker is a walk. The physiological mechanisms I have described, the cartilage compression and release, the muscle activation, the circulatory improvement, the neurological benefits, They do not require speed or distance to begin operating. They require consistency. They require showing up every day and moving your body through space in a way that is within your current capacity, and then very gradually, as your capacity improves, extending that just slightly. I have seen patients who began with a 5-minute walk to the end of their driveway and back, who within 3 months were walking 30 minutes comfortably. The body adapts, the muscles strengthen, the joints respond to the nourishment that movement provides. The pain that initially made walking feel impossible often diminishes significantly with consistent, graduated walking practice, not because walking is a cure for joint disease, but because the muscle support and reduced inflammation that walking produces make the same degree of joint damage far more manageable. The specific approach that the research most consistently supports for people over 60 is this: walk daily, or as close to daily as possible. The consistency matters more than any individual session. Aim for a pace that slightly elevates your breathing, what exercise physiologists call a moderate intensity, where you can still hold a conversation but feel that you are making some effort. Start with whatever duration is comfortable and add 5 minutes per week until you reach 30 minutes. Walking outdoors on varied terrain, even gentle terrain, provides additional benefits over flat surfaces because it engages a slightly wider range of muscles and requires more active balance and proprioception. The body's sense of its own position in space, which is one of the most important and most neglected aspects of fall prevention in older adults. If you take nothing else from this video, take this: the single most evidence-supported, accessible, low-risk, high-return investment you can make in your health right now, regardless of your current fitness level, regardless of your current pain level, regardless of how long it has been since you moved your body consistently, is to go for a walk today. Not a perfect walk, not a long walk, not a walk in special shoes or with a specific technique, just a walk. Outside if you can, inside if you cannot. Slow if that is what today allows. The biology does not require perfection. It requires initiation. Your joints need it. Your brain needs it. Your heart needs it. Your sleep needs it. And the version of yourself 10 years from now, more mobile, more clear-headed, more independent than the alternative, that person needs you to start today. Thank you for being here on Mobility Matters. If this video was valuable to you, please share it with someone you love who could use this reminder. Drop a comment below telling me when and where you take your daily walk. I genuinely want to know, and I will see you in the next one.